This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
I was talking about this man, the name of Jonah Frick. He was supposed to be on the podcast tonight, but he called me and said he was feeling a little sick. It's like he was calling into work. Like he played it up. He's like, I'm just not feel. I puked. I'm not feel good. I'm a little hoarse.
You better be careful what you say. You still want him on.
Whatever.
And co-host Marney Winfield.
Could be a little different or a little more ideal, but I can't tell you exactly what those are. So I would say, in the whole scheme of things, I feel like I'm living the dream.
It is the 12th of April, 2023. My name's Corey Winfield.
My name's Marney Winfield.
Welcome to the 217 Recovery Podcast on a Wednesday. And I was thinking right before we came in here, I was like, man, we're holding true to our sticking to the plan. And I'm like, wait, it's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. So never mind. It's a make-up. Make good.
Yep.
Surprise.
Wednesday.
Got an extra podcast this week, but not really extra because, yeah. Well, the plan was for me, it was to do one from the North studio with Tyrone today. I'm going to let him tell his story. He's got a humdinger.
Yes, he does.
That's when he plays.
Man.
That's what I said to him today.
Yep.
So we'll let him tell. Hopefully we'll hook up tomorrow. But that was the plan, and that's why I didn't do one yesterday. I haven't felt good. I think I had maybe 4.5 hours sleep in the last 2 days. And I'm not on drugs.
Nope.
Stress.
Just can't sleep.
And stress will get you. I've been stressing big time. And then I added more stress onto my day yesterday because I was like, why not have a little more? So I purposely went down a road. Well, I'm glad I did because it was a huge problem. And I'll talk about it when we get it resolved. And a big warning to everybody else out there, too. Check your in case shit. Just saying that right now, but details on that coming very soon, probably in the next few days. But yeah, don't miss that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, added to the plate, and like I said, it worked out good. I prayed a lot last night, and it worked out. And okay, well, it has to do with obviously insurance companies because I said in case shit. And I was praying, and I was calling, and we had to get this stuff figured out. And I get this company on the line. The guy seems nice. He's all like, okay, Mr. Winfield, we'll get you this, blah, blah, blah. Whoa. And his voice kind of went, oh, well, we're going to, not to, I really don't want to waste anybody's time, yours or mine. So if this doesn't come back approved, it'll probably come back denied, and then we can't really do anything with it. So he's like already like prepping me for the downfall. And I'm like, oh, dude. He's like, so, you have a drunk driving on your record and you filed for bankruptcy, and he's like giving me that. And he's like, but if it might get sent to an underwriter and then we can explain the case. And you might have heard me because you were in the office at that time. Hear it. I was like, yeah, man, that my drunk driving was in 2018. It saved my life. Not that I'm saying that you should go drunk driving and then maybe that'll save your life. I'm not saying that at all. But having those consequences, it did save my life, and it helped me start a company that helps people in early recovery. And, I could really make a case for myself that I'm not going to drunk driving, And then he comes back and he's like, whoa, he's like, okay. And I was like, what? He's like, it's approved. And he was like he
shocked.
Got a Nintendo back in 1993. He got a Nintendo for Christmas. And he was like, oh my God, like what? He's like, oh, wow. Like he kept saying it, like all the time I've worked here, I've never seen that get approved. He was like, I've never seen the drunk driving get approved, and I've never seen the drunk driving with a bankruptcy get approved. He's like, I don't understand. Like, wow, okay. And I was like, well, I did pray last night. And he kind of like didn't hear me at first, and he's like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, I did pray last night. He's like, you know what? That might have worked. And I was like, you'd be surprised at what praying will do for you. And I don't know. It's just another one of those things. Coincidence? I don't know. This guy said he's worked there for 8 years and never has seen it get approved.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, but see, and I was trying to keep a positive frame of mind, even driving to work today. Just had a 4-wheeler drive by our window.
That's a first, too.
Yeah, I thought it was a car. It was about as big as one. what in the hell? Yeah, I don't think that's supposed to be happening. But anyway, sorry, distracted. But I was on my way to work today. I thought, you know what? I got to start having fun in recovery. And so that was my mission today, was like, you know what? I'm going to have some fun.
Good.
Yeah. And I guess I did, but not really. But we'll see how that goes. But
excuse me.
For what?
I just sneezed.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Oh.
And your mic muted.
Oh, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. I come through every once in a while. But yeah, so that was kind of the beginning of my day, and just, saying pray and works, I'm telling you, and think about positive things. And I could have been like, man, this is going to be horrible. We're never going to get it. It's going to be bad. But it wasn't. It was actually worked out great. Mm-hmm. So think yourself into some good stuff and pray.
There you go.
But you had an interesting group today.
I did. I had a pretty good day today. Yeah, so I did some work for the 217 Recovery Center in the morning, trying to sort out meetings that we're going to be having, and when those are going to be, who's going to facilitate them, so the office is open, and we'll figure out the Zoom thing too. So the more the merrier. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I started. And then I had I facilitate a relapse prevention group, mindfulness and relapse prevention group, via Zoom. And so I had that in my computer, speaking of just dealing with stuff, my computer just decided it was going to not work today. And of course, I'm not tech savvy. You know that.
Is that your computer at your desk?
Yeah, my desktop. Not tech savvy. I don't know what's happening with it. It started yesterday, and I'm just like, no. So it's 45 minutes before my group's supposed to start. I'm figuring out, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I have people that are counting on me. And so I got a hold of our tech people, and the guy comes in and he's looking at it and he's like, you have your Windows is from 2019. Everything was outdated.
Just like your laptop.
My antivirus was completely not even the same as the rest of the companies. It's just, he's like, I don't even know how you've been functioning off this thing. I had Skype on there, all these programs, Bonjour, where you pair your iPhone 4 to things.
Honey.
Yeah.
Did you tell them that your laptop was the same exact thing?
I had gaming apps opened. I don't even know. I have no idea. I had 8 million things downloaded. Everything I've probably opened up since I started working there that I just never cleared out. So anyway, it's got semi-resolved, but he still said it's a mess. Said that I need a new computer, even though I'm not even going to be in that office anymore. But the point is, we got through it. Mm-hmm. Stayed persistent, and I had a really good group. And there wasn't as many people in it as there usually is, which is fine. Sometimes that's how it's supposed to be. And we had we talked about post-acute withdrawal symptoms and kind of what they are and people's experience with those, and or not, and because some people can identify that they've experienced those and some have not. And essentially, it's just a fancy word for basically your brain getting right again after substantial years of substance use. Particularly opiates, I think, is what I read, is that has more of effect. But I know alcohol as well. And some of the symptoms are, like I said, it's mostly cognitive stuff, but memory, you notice your memory isn't as sharp when you first get sober, and balance can be affected, hand-eye coordination, even just reasoning, things like that. So, anyhow. Yeah, so we kind of went into the best way to describe it. And as we had this conversation, it was you kind of feel like you're in a fog. You don't really feel like you're even though you're clean and sober, you don't feel like you're really back in action. You're not your best self yet, which makes sense, And
how long does it take, or do they say it takes to get some of that stuff back, like memory?
It's not you don't remember anything. It's just you can have a hard time even remembering little things, short-term memory stuff. And, but anywhere, it says anywhere from, you can experience them anywhere from when you get sober until supposedly up to 2 years.
Oh, 5 years?
2 years.
Are you sure? Because I think it's longer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's different. But I think the most reported things that can be identified as due to that is up to 2 years.
So you think there's something else wrong with me?
Okay. Yeah, just keep me posted.
Yeah,
I
probably.
think there might be. I don't know.
No, but I mean, I've heard people, and even naming it, that's fine. But even in the rooms before I even heard that terminology, and I don't even think people really use that very much.
Call it pause.
Called pause, yeah. Is just like still in the fog.
Yeah. It is frustrating.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're feeling better and you can't remember that little thing that you're going to bring. And you're just like, And I used to do that a lot in groups in my IOP, my intensive outpatient. I would be there and there was something that I wanted to bring up because it was really bugging me. And I want to bring it up in front of the group. And I get there and I could not remember for the life of me. But yet it bugged me so much. And so then I started writing things down, which made it easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's instead of being frustrated, because you're going to get frustrated and you're not going to always have a pen, get your phone out, put it in your notes.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing that because you're going to keep forgetting. You're going to run into that. And I would just assume not everybody's going to forget, and I was a hardcore drinker, but I kind of did all kinds of stuff. But drinking was the 98% thing that I was doing. And for me, it was the memory and it was very frustrating. But then it's like, okay, well, what can you do about it? Mm-hmm. I'll write some stuff down, put it in your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is when you've been under the influence for so long, and we kind of bring this up quite a bit in different arenas during the podcast about like the effects that alcohol have on you and your brain, but you don't even know how to produce your own, dopamine anymore.
Right.
So you really have to relearn a lot of stuff and you don't feel like yourself. You don't even know what that is really. And I think for some people to hear that it sounds weird, but that's normal, I think can bring a little comfort to people in early recovery. Like it's going to get better. You're not always going to feel like this, but it takes time. I mean, you put your body and brain under a lot of damage and stress for however long you've been doing this for. So you're not just going to be sober for a day or two or 5 or a week or 2 weeks or months even until you can start feeling right again. And it was interesting because the people in the group had a lot of good things to say. It's like part of you, there's that critical time in early recovery where you're kind of questioning your decisions. Like, I still don't feel right. And what do we do when we don't feel right? Numb ourselves with drugs or alcohol. Mm-hmm. So we're like, I thought this was supposed to be better. I thought my life was supposed to be better when I got sober, and I'm still not feeling good, And so we go back on our go-to, which,
even though
is never the answer, but
we know it's bad, but we still know it.
Yeah.
And this is the change that kind of freaks people out. And when I got out of the hospital, it was weird. I did that whole like, who am I? What do I like? Mm-hmm. Like, this is weird, and at that time, I didn't even know what post-acute withdrawal symptoms or syndrome, whatever.
Symptoms, yeah.
I didn't even know what that was because I didn't need any help. I didn't need any of your counseling. Didn't need AA. Didn't need nothing. I just am going to go home and not drink. Thanks. Which, of course, this doesn't work. Maybe for some people, but for me, I ended up just kind of becoming a dry drunk later. But until you start learning like what it does. And so I'd say the majority of people who probably go for the first time, it's a process, like learning all the stuff that you're going to learn, like at a treatment center or an outpatient, or just with your, if you have a substance use disorder therapist or counselor, for them to kind of explain this stuff to you, it's going to take a minute. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to learn. And when you learn, it helps you understand. So with me, I didn't understand. I didn't want to learn. I'm just going to nothing to see here kind of approach to it. And I think a lot of people going in the first time have that. And they're still stigmatized big time. They don't want people knowing. Met a guy yesterday. I was at this dinner it's called Before and After Incarceration. And there was a guy there, and he was telling me he'd been to treatment like 4 times, but that he's better than those addicts. And I was like, oh, you're at that stage. Like, I used to think that too. Like, but 4 times is a lot to go to treatment and still kind of have that mentality. But he said he can't picture himself not drinking, and he doesn't ever want to say that he's never going to drink again. And he just had a real down demeanor to him. And I used to have that same demeanor, like just defeated. Like, I've tried it, and people are hating me, and they don't get it, and blah, blah, blah. But I kind of was trying to explain a little bit of the early part of positive thinking. And if you go around telling people you're an alcoholic and that's a negative term for you, well, of course you're going to feel like crap. If you go around telling people you're in recovery and you've changed your life, you're going to feel better. If you wake up every day and say, I'm a piece of shit. Well, guess what? You're going to go through that day probably going to be a piece of shit. If you get out of bed every day and you're like, I'm making my bed, I'm doing something, I don't care what, I'm going to have fun in recovery today. I don't care if I got to call these insurance people. It changes your day. It totally does. So you got to grasp it and kind of tackle it, but it's hard, because that depression comes on too, especially for people who drink. And it's a natural thing because, like you were talking about the dopamine, your brain is like, nope, alcohol's making that for me. So then you stop, and then your brain's like, whoa, kick that baby into gear. And it just kind of goes through the roof at first. And that's why everybody's feeling good. They call it the pink cloud and call it something else too. But you feel so good, and you're like, man, I love this. This is great. I love getting out of bed every morning. I get up at 6 a.m., drink coffee. It's great. And then you hit the wall because your brain's like, whoa, hold that back. We're making way too much. So then it slows it way down. So they call that hitting the wall. And then people are going through the pause still, and they're thinking, man, I've been sober for 3 months, 4 months now. This sucks. Job still sucks. My boss still an a-hole. Like the newness of this whole new life is wearing off. My wife still hates me. I don't say that, of course, but I'm just saying, or whatever. My husband doesn't understand, doesn't care. But and you still are going through that, but now you hit that. And that's where, talking to a doctor, knowing what to do and knowing those signs, but talk to a doctor, maybe you go see a psychologist and I think we talked about that before, where they have like these tests now that they do, and they can kind of determine, probably not Zoloft for you.
Yeah, it's genetic. Somehow they test like your genetics and how they'll cooperate with different antidepressants or SSRIs.
Once they figure out what kind of alien designed you and what kind of pill would be good for you, they'll hook you up, I guess. But and that's another thing to keep in mind too. If you start those like Zoloft, which I didn't know at the time, until like my 3rd or 4th time taking it, that when you drink on that, it because it takes a month to kick in at least, and I would give it a couple of weeks and I would drink. Well, it would take it all the way back to the beginning. So I never really actually had the full effects of the Zoloft. So it was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Well, that would make sense why I wasn't feeling any better.
Yeah.
But
I really love I love the group because lots of times the conversations will veer off in pertinent ways, but from the original topic. And you mentioned something about saying you're in recovery versus being an addict. And there was this conversation between these 2 individuals and back and forth, and it was really interesting because they were talking about the need to remember how bad things were. And it was kind of cute because this one guy shares, he's like, I still keep my prison ID in my wallet. And he goes, people ask me, why would you do that, man? He's like, it's because I want to remember where I came from and what will happen if I go back out.
Yeah.
So, it's like remembering where drinking and drugs can take you to,
Yeah, I don't have to. And some people will say that too, that I've heard them in AA meetings. I have to call myself an alcoholic to remind myself what an alcoholic I was and how bad it was. I'm like, I don't have to do that. I can just remember.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not I'm personally not so much about the reference of calling myself an alcoholic or an addict, because even though I qualify 100%, because of exactly what you said. Saying that I'm a person in recovery for me is because that's how I'm living my life today. And it's more in the present, it's in the now, and that's how I'm living. So,
and if it works for you, if you want to go around telling people you're an alcoholic, you're a piece of shit, feel free. I'm just saying, for me, it worked way better when I kind of flipped the script in my brain and started changing the way I thought.
I don't think these individuals are saying they walk around saying they're a piece of shit. I'm thinking they're saying that they remember that they were pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And
Again,
they might not even vocalize that. I mean, I think I do that sometimes too, just by default, just remembering and it's more so when I'm recognizing how great things are for me and how so much different they are from when I was in my active addiction. So it's not so much on purpose remembering bad stuff. It's just like, wow, things are so much better than they used to be. I'm never going back to that. You know how we were like, we don't have to live like that anymore. Those kind of moments. You know?
Yep. You're waiting for me to make a sex, and I'm not going to even talk about the sex thing.
I didn't say you were.
I'm just saying. Just saying. I know you were waiting for it.
No, I really wasn't.
You're just staring at me like, you're going to say it, you're going to say it, you're going to say it. But, I mean, you know, the sex life probably did get better.
That's what's up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, just saying. But so, yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up today because that was a good topic. And I'm sure somebody probably can. Well, I know there's a few people that can relate to it.
Yeah.
There's other people that like to listen to just kind of understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, what is it that they go through? What is it like now? And
yeah. And like I said, sometimes on naming it and knowing it, and some of the things it's like part of that module or whatever you want to call it, class discussion, was about what you do about it. And it was, you touched on a lot of them. And one of them is talk to people about it. Talk to your doctor about it. Talk to your therapist about it. You know, talk to your psychiatrist about it. Another one was write things down. Another one was, you know, keep a healthy diet and exercise and journal and find your spiritual self.
yeah.
You know, all the things that are kind of well-rounded, more balanced lifestyle. I mean, those are kind of like the givens for any doctor's note for like anything. Like exercise, drink water,
Less stress.
eat your fruits and vegetables. Yeah.
Still working on that. I'm still working on a few things. I think I'll be working on it forever, but that's fine. It's progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
You know, if you're making progress, and like that guy that, you know, I was talking to and met the other day, you know, it's like, I just told him, I was like, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up on yourself, man. And, you know, your family doesn't have to understand. I know it would look like just look on his face, like it was driving him crazy that his family just didn't understand what it was like. And it's like, they don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Be thankful, you know, and you'll look back at it one day. And I told them about happy tears.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, when you put this all together one day, man, and it all starts making sense and everything's clicking, you're going to cry. And I was like, and I started kind of tearing up because I started thinking about my mom again, you know, and it's just like the one person that kind of didn't give up on me. And to be where I'm at now, not everybody gets a chance to make it.
Right.
And I almost was one of those that didn't.
Yeah.
So, you know, to be where we're at today, you the same way.
Same
you know,
way.
it's like, you don't cry happy tears though.
I do cry happy tears.
Oh, I don't have a bleep button on here. I was going to say a bad word. But not like I do.
No, you
We'll
are.
see.
No, it's really adorable. I love it.
I love when my husband cries happy tears.
Yeah.
When he's up there on stage talking about stuff and he brings up his mom, he's like, I don't do it that bad, but no, it's tough because like you can't talk and it's just uncontrollable, and they're really good tears, but it's so emotional, you know, and to think what we put those people through.
Oh man, I know.
But that they didn't give up. And here we are today doing good things and trying to help other people. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like they kind of get the last laugh, sort of. We have to teach them how strong they really are.
Uh-huh. For sure.
You're welcome, Mom. That was all free.
Oh,
get what I'm
man.
saying?
Yeah, we gotta have Pastor. You should talk to Pastor Deb.
I wonder, you know, how like when we have to reflect on our own lives and where we are now, and we're like, it's so hard to answer that question. Like, if you had to do it all over again, would you? Because like that was a lot of
Uh-huh.
chaos and pain and agony and oh man, I mean that's like a loaded question.
I wouldn't want to, but I know I don't have to.
I know,
But I wouldn't change anything because those were learning lessons, and you got to go through the struggle.
right? So, but if you had to do it all over again to get to where you are right now, would you? You should see. He just looked like he was so exhausted he couldn't even like that question made him tired.
There's a lot in there.
There's a
that's just
lot
like,
in
ooh.
there. I know, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but like asking our parents that, like, how your kid is now, would you go through it all over again?
My mom's like, maybe I am already with a
Oh,
different
my-
child. No, just kidding. Maybe. Just kidding.
No, but we are grateful, just so you know, and to all the family members and, you know, husbands, wives, daughters, sons, aunts, uncles, neighbors, anybody whose mothers, fathers who've stood by their loved one going through this, through thick and thin. We thank you.
Yeah, and
100%.
even if it's from afar, because not everybody has that personality where they can jump in there and take charge. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them. It's just sometimes you get confused and you don't really know what to do. And you haven't been to treatment 80 times and outpatient, but you know, like you don't know. And then you start looking things up online, and some things are good, some things are bad. And you start asking your friends maybe, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, or maybe they do, but it's just something that you don't want to hear. And and there's a lot of bad advice out there. So and everybody's different, and what works for one person's child might not work for yours, or your brother, or your husband, or your wife, or your cousin, whatever. But it's it's something that I think that if society would just open up more about, they would realize. I was reading some stuff online today, and it said that for every, was it 500,000? I'm just making up numbers now because I really don't remember, but I think it was 500,000. For every 500,000 people, there's 16 beds in residential treatment.
Oh, so people who need beds, there's 500,000 and there's 16 available.
No,
So
for the
it is-
population of 500,000 people, there's 16 beds waiting for them if they
I was
need
going to
it.
say, wow. But yeah, that's still wow.
Yeah. So if you want to throw some millions of dollars in it, you can start a treatment center,
Yeah.
because clearly it's needed, because that's insane.
Yeah.
Even if it was 100,000, it's either 100,000 or 500,000.
It's still not enough.
No. And I think that was just up here in the northern region, but like that's why people go to different places.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times they're full. I have to drive all the way across the state, and that's where we kind of come in with the transportation piece of it, the stuff. But yeah, so you were talking about if we had to go through it and do it again or whatever, we would or wouldn't. I mean,
That's an unfair question.
we wouldn't want to, but I wouldn't want to change anything today. So I would go through it all over again to be here with you and to be in the life that I have today. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, it's amazing.
Yeah. I don't think there's any other answer than I would.
I didn't think I was that strong. I thought I was never going to get it. People would say they had 6 months sober at a meeting, and I'd be like, "How did you do that?
Right.
What did you do?" Like that I don't know why I can't do it.
Yeah.
But to change the way you think and like really take charge of it and grab the bull by the horns and just go, I'm changing. I'm going to change everything about me. And you have to. But if you had to explain to our child one day, they're like, how did you and daddy meet? How's that story going to go?
Exactly how it happened.
I was in rehab.
Yep. Exactly how it happened. No deviations, no, I mean, I think it's a good story. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think our story is a lot better than a lot of people's stories. So,
Yeah, a lot of these stupid movies on TV.
yeah.
What if, or do you think or worry about if the child's like, oh, mommy and daddy used to have a problem with drugs. I can try this one because I can always go to rehab like they did.
You have to be prepared for anything, I think.
How do you punish kids nowadays?
I don't know.
I'm going to take your phone away.
But, like, what do they call that? Preacher's daughter syndrome, where, like,
Oh, they're the bad girl.
they're the bad girl because all they're taught all day long from morning to night is what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they go do? Do it.
They're the bleachers at the football games. There they are.
Yeah, but no, I mean, and like I think that's a little excessive, but I think there's some partial truth to that. Like be realistic about what it is, and that substance abuse is real. And like I said, I'm not gonna tell our kid like gory details of the difficulties of being in addiction, like when they're 2. I'm not going to traumatize the kid.
3 maybe.
Yeah.
I'm never going to make him watch My Name Was Betty.
Scare them straight.
I want to watch Bugs Bunny. Nope. Watching this old lady die. Dad, I don't want. Where's Mom? Shut up. Yeah, but they could, and they could think, oh, and then when I tell them, hey, this is how it works, and if you drink the first time, you're not going to become an alcoholic. They're like, oh, okay, cool. What about the 3rd time, 5th time, 8th time? How many times does it take, Dad? Shit, 1. Never mind, I lied. It takes 1 time. Like, do you lie to them? Oh, yeah, and Santa Claus, let's talk about that real quick. Like, when do we have that conversation at the same time? Like...
You're worrying about a lot of stuff that's not even close to happening. So
closer than you think. I did some praying.
Oh, that's it. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Keep you posted. Just saying. Well, tomorrow, maybe we'll do a podcast with Tyrone. I was supposed to go to help my buddy Scott get his podcast up and going, and they're getting pretty close. May is when they're going to launch it. That's however many days away.
I don't know. You got like 2 weeks.
Was it 30 days?
Yeah, 30 days. Okay. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, got to get on it. Got to get cracking. They got a website now.
That's awesome.
Reservationconversation.com. It's just some goofy stuff on there. Because the website that they're going to use and the app they're going to use is pretty much the same app that we have through the same company. And it is a religious organization. Mm-hmm. I know, it's kind of funny. I mean, hey, look, I believe in a higher power. My God might not be the same as everybody else's, but he's out there and he's there. But my God likes it when I swear. He says it shows emotion. That's what he told me. Yeah. Sincerity.
You can keep telling yourself that. Okay.
He likes it. He's like, just words, Corey. It's just words, man. If I say stick, it's the same thing, man.
And just say stick.
Why?
Because other people aren't offended by stick.
Then they should talk to their therapist about what offends them. They really should. We're going to have to homeschool our children, by the way. They're like, F that. I'm not reading that. Just kidding. But probably not. I don't even remember what I was talking about now. It's probably a good thing.
Slub Splash.
Oh, yeah. And so you can, I don't know, it's not published yet in the App Store or anything. They're still in the process of that, but reservationconversation.com is a website you can go to and check it out. And like I said, it's just kind of funny stuff. And we kind of took off Kathy, the other person that's kind of on this, she took off like all the church stuff and She's like, yeah, well, it's for the tribe, and they're not real big fans of Jesus. You know, like
No, I mean,
they don't believe in that. So I'm like, yeah.
I think it's just a platform. You know, ours, you wouldn't know that if you looked at ours.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Because like you would think that they would kick us off, me for swearing. And, you know, the stuff that we talk about sometimes is like real stuff that happened to us or is happening. And, you know, does it fall along their values? I don't know. But they took my money. Took it right in my bank account.
They don't censor this very well.
Which is good because America. No, but the stuff we say is true. And we're not just on here dropping F-bombs.
No.
Most of the time.
Right.
So thanks for listening. And maybe tomorrow with Tyrone. Did you have anything else to add? Or
No, I'm just looking forward to a hot shower and going to sleep.
That kind of is code word for...
That's what's up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, Corey.
What? It's code word for 99. We're done is what I meant. We're done with the podcast.
Right.
So thanks for listening. 217recovery.com, more details. And then the info, and watch your videos too. We're going to start posting more of those and details on the recovery center. Because I think Monday is like our first day. We're going to be like open and want the community to participate and check us out. So look for details on that, the Zoom meeting, stuff like that. Especially if you don't live in Michigan and you're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make that. You never know. You know, you can jump on the Zoom meeting and we'll make it fun.
Yeah.
So that's a promise.
Yep. Sure.
Check out 217recovery.com. Get the app if you haven't already. And we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. We hope you come back for our next episode.